Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about greatswords. More specifically, the top 5 greatswords. Again, like we've been doing recently, putting together videos on some of our top 5 favorite weapons from our time playing through Sunbreak. We've done sword and shield so far, and longsword. Keep in mind, this is not a definitive meta list of the statistically greatest greatswords or anything like that. It will of course include some very strong weapons that are statistically very powerful, but this is a combination of some high raw damage weapons, some nice elemental or status, and also, very importantly, some weapons that just look hella cool, because looking cool is very important in Monster Hunter. It is arguably the most important thing in the end game, so yes, they need to be included. Anyway, if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what greatswords you are running, let me know if you are enjoying the weapon, and let's kick things off with the Diablos greatsword. Okay, I will largely speaking try and focus on newer weapons, but this cannot be ignored. Of course, in light of the fact that most of the weapons can be upgraded to rarity 10, you can of course take any of your favorite weapons and just run with them end game. Pretty much everything is viable to a degree. However, the Diablos greatsword, the Vendetta Horn Sword Plus, is insane if you of course want to lean into raw, which, let's be honest, is largely speaking what you do with greatsword. Not exclusively now, because of course you do have some additional options, but generally speaking, if you're going greatsword, you are going raw damage. This has a whopping 370 raw attack. It goes up to white sharpness, so of course you don't have that purple, but it is still quite nice. It does have negative 25% affinity, so of course you can sort of work around that and offset that. Keep in mind that does however mean it does work nicely with the Brutal Strike Rampage decoration. That used to of course be a rampage skill, now it is a decoration, so you can use that to of course get some very nice damage numbers and lean into that negative affinity. But this one is basically just your big meaty chops raw damage if you want to hit hard, which, let's be honest, you do with the greatsword, then this is a fantastic pick. However, moving on from there to the Shagaru greatsword, the Lorri, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, the point is Shagaru Magala, the greatsword. This thing looks hella cool, and it is actually a very potent weapon. It has purple sharpness, very nice. You have 300 raw attack. You also have 45% affinity, which is insane. That is real tasty. Plus you have 74 dragon, which is also really nice. Keep in mind that with some of the faster hitting combos on the greatsword as of Sunbreak, with the new Surge combo, elemental usage on this weapon is definitely now a thing. Maybe not in the same sense as, say, elemental dual blades or sword and shield, but it is definitely something you no longer need to sleep on, so you can definitely look at weapons that also carry some nice elements. But regardless, 300 base raw attack, purple sharpness, 45% affinity, and 74 dragon, plus a very cool design. What is not to like on this thing? It does admittedly only have a level 1 rampage slot, so on the slot front it is not too customizable, but then you do have your armor to lean into. Then next up on the list we have the Somacanth greatsword. This one of course looking a little bit like a fish fin, not exactly the coolest design, however, this one is definitely worth talking about because, again, status greatsword is now potentially a thing. If you guys have dabbled in the Surge combo, you'll know that some of the faster hitting attacks definitely do have some potency with elements and status. So while again it might not be as fast as something like dual blades and sword and shield, it does not mean to say that you cannot or should not lean into elemental or status with this weapon. So you definitely can get some mileage out of that, and for that reason this has 320 base attack, white sharpness, 0% affinity, and 34 sleep. Sleep, of course, is a very nice status, especially for greatsword, because put that monster to sleep, do a meaty chop for the wake up, and you do some massive damage. This also has a decent selection of slots, so it is relatively customizable. Then, in addition to that, I of course need to mention the Naga greatsword. Yes, this is not exactly a new one, but it is a weapon that you need to mention because it is just a comfy pick. 300 base raw attack, purple sharpness, 35% affinity. It does of course have a slot and a rampage decoration slot, not exactly the biggest one, but this is a weapon that was of course also good in base rise. Now you can upgrade it to rarity 10. It is just a nice comfy weapon. You sort of can't go wrong with this one, so if you are just looking for something to craft that is also relatively easy, you know, you encounter Naga a little bit earlier on, so if you were trying to sort of upgrade something and kind of just lean into that, then this is a safe bet. Then finally, moving to the last one, I need to mention the end boss greatsword, the Abyssal Eruption. This one is in here primarily for the design. The design for this thing looks hella cool. I mean, I like a lot of the final boss weapons regardless, but this one I do really like. So from a design point of view, this is why I picked it. However, as I've said with previous final boss weapons, this is also really nice. 340 base attack, purple sharpness, a massive chunk of purple sharpness. That will see you through for a very long time. You won't need to sharpen very frequently at all, and especially even less so if you have other things to mitigate sharpness loss. It does have negative 15% affinity and of course 29 dragon, but overall it is a nice looking weapon and it is also pretty decent. If you like the final boss, you like the gear, you can't really go wrong with the weapons, so pick one of these up. Also, quick honorable mention does need to go to the Antique Machina weapons. I've mentioned this into the other list as well. I will say for the Greatsword, I wasn't as impressed because of course this one does carry Blast. Blast is a nice status, don't get me wrong, but doesn't necessarily sort of draw me in as much. However, from a pure design point of view, this thing is hella cool. It's kind of got gears on it, looks again like it belongs in Xenoblade. Also kind of reminds us to a degree of, say, the Rocket Greatsword from World, so design-wise, this is hella cool, so it needed an honorable mention. Anyway, that's it for the time being. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what your picks would have been. If you've missed some of our recent videos, check out one of these ones, and stay tuned for plenty more.